This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
Welcome back. Obesity, a medical condition that affects over 2/3 of all Americans, is something that many in the Heartland face. Dr. Justin Puckett, a board-certified obesity medicine physician, is here to discuss the first ever National Obesity Care Week, which is going on right now. Now, a big objective of the event organizers is to address bias regarding obesity. Now, Dr. Puckett recently was recognized by the Obesity Action Coalition with their Bias Buster of the Year award for his work in addressing weight bias. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about National Obesity Care Week.
Well, you know, in 2013, the American Medical Association agreed and declared that obesity was a medical condition, not just something that came from a series of poor choices or lack of motivation. And so since then, there's been ongoing emphasis on addressing it as a true medical condition. And so a group of obesity supporting organizations, the Obesity Society, the American Society of Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, the Obesity Action Coalition, the Stop Obesity Alliance, came together and said, we really need to focus on a week where we're going to really advocate for patients that are suffering with obesity and really address a variety of different things. And this year their focus is kind of on weight bias, like you said.
Now go ahead and talk about examples of weight bias. What's that all about?
Well, it can be a variety of different things. It can occur whenever someone is trying to get a job in a workplace. It can occur with bullying from a variety of, from when we're kids till even well into adulthood. Weight bias happens whenever you come to the doctor, maybe wanting to get help with that medical condition, and there's not appropriate medical condition there to fit that. And actually, the number one group of people that provide bias towards patients with obesity are actually healthcare providers, and specifically healthcare providers that have extra weight themselves. And so we're always working on kind of changing that mindset. And then society as a whole just has stigmatized people who have excess weight as those who are just unmotivated and lazy.
So tell us more about the areas that you've assisted in when it comes to limiting that weight bias.
Yeah, so I do a lot of talking around the country regarding obesity medicine, and one of the real points that I make whenever I'm teaching other physicians and other healthcare providers is to recognize that bias and to try to address that. We also work with a variety of TV shows and other media outlets about weight bias. For example, there was the first episode of Kevin MD was going to be an episode that was kind of making fun of patients who don't take care of themselves, who are what we might call non-compliant, and most notably those related to their weight. And that we through a letter writing campaign and making some phone calls, that whole episode was actually dropped. Wow. And then there's a whole variety of other places that we're currently working with. I fly Cape Air frequently and love Cape Air, but whenever I go there, they, in that small little room, ask me what my weight is. And so I don't mind to tell them, but somebody might be a little less secure about that. And more than once, I've went out on the tarmac and they've checked for balance, and back we go to recirculate because somebody didn't want to be straightforward about their weight. So we're working with them as simply as just giving us a post-it note that we can write our weight on, so that it doesn't have to be such a big verbal thing. So those sorts of little things. And then just getting rid of the F word. There's a whole campaign right now called Ban the F Word, and the F word being fat. And so working with the shows like Fat Guys in the Woods, which is on the Weather Channel. They're trying to say normal guys in the woods, but I think that that's an inappropriate use of the word. Fat exists, but it's adipose tissue. It's fat tissue. Being fat is something that shouldn't be said. And even heavy, those sorts of impressions show bias. And so those are just a few of the things that we're working with. I think about there's a barbecue place on Carnival Cruise Lines called Fat Jimmy's Barbecue, and so it just, that sort of whenever we just keep shoving that back out there, it just really somebody who's maybe really facing that issue. I often think we would, if somebody had cancer, we would never call them a cancerous patient. We don't say, "Oh, well, you're cancerous." So to say you're fat, or it just we talk about, we don't say an obese patient. We say a patient that has obesity, because it's just all about a perspective, and it seems little. It may seem insignificant, but if I've talked to too many patients, and even myself included, who have been subject to that bias, and it can be quite damaging.
All right, and I know that your facility has several different programs to assist people with weight loss and getting onto the right path to shedding some weight and living the healthy lifestyle. So what we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at at ktvo.com. That's our new website, ktvo.com, and we'll link up Dr. Puckett's information with Complete Family Medicine if you have any questions or concerns or would like to seek some help. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.